Today, we're going to be talking about building better sleep habits so you sleep well, wake up refreshed all the time.
I think that sounds like a worthy goal. All right, so let's jump right into it. And let's start by talking about what the heck is, why do we need sleep?
Oh, man.
Why is this relevant?
Yeah, I did a lot of research on this, and it is pretty well established now that the average person needs between 6 to 8 hours sleep a night to be recovered from whatever stresses they went through the previous day, to be well rested. Some people as low as 6, some as many as 8, but that is pretty well the sweet spot for most people. For me, it's about 7 to 7.5.
Okay, cool. So if you get good amount of sleep, it's going to keep you healthier emotionally, physically.
Every
people
possible
go
way.
insane if they are sleep deprived.
Oh, they actually do. They'll start dreaming in their waking
There's been
state.
studies about this. So we all know sleep matters. I like how you've put this here as a note. We often refer to this as a nice metaphor. Sleep is a nutrient.
Yeah, it's my own original idea. Yeah, we think of food as a nutrient. We think of water as essential, breathing. But think of sleep as a nutrient. It's something you cannot do without
it's like
suffering.
oxygen, right?
Yes,
you don't hear people walking around going, I breathe very little these days.
People brag about stuff. They brag about how little sleep they need. And that's not heroic. That's stupid.
Yeah, I only get 2 hours of sleep. I only breathe 5 times a day.
I only breathe 5 times. Brilliant.
I'm going to start saying it.
Brilliant.
Okay, so it's a nutrient. Don't be proud of how little you get. Let's strive to get good quality sleep and sufficient sleep.
Sufficient. One of the first things you have to do, if you possibly can, if you're on shift work, I've done that. It's rough on the system. If you're traveling a lot, jet lag, they can screw it up. But for the average person, regular sleep time is crucial. Going to bed at the same time. It is amazing how well that will work.
Right.
And it will tend to establish a proper sleep pattern that you'll fall into easily.
Okay, let me give you a little bit of a preview of what's to come in this video. And I also want to add in that if you're in the Brain Software Syndicate or the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy, of course, have access to our product, A Good Night's Sleep. Goes into a bit more detail on all of this, gives you some hypnosis tracks that you can use.
Yes.
But here's where we're basically going to go. We're going to break this down into setting up a ritual. What can you do before you actually get into your bed? Then we're going to talk about what to do while you're actually in your bed. And we'll wrap up with some simple things around waking up, alarms and stuff like that, and a few other tips that will fit into this. So
excellent.
And including afternoon naps and stuff. So let's start with the whole idea of making this a ritual, what not to do, what to do in terms of the setup before you're going to bed.
Yes, because when we make it a ritual, something we do all the time, the body and the mind get used to it, and you fall into a pattern that will be self-perpetuating. So the first one is obviously avoid liquid before you go to bed. Some people say don't drink anything after 7 p.m. because you need time for it to work its way through your system. Otherwise, you'll be getting up in the night. Every time you get up, you're disturbing your sleep to some degree.
And while a glass of water might work for some people, alcohol, especially like beer, which is high liquid, that's going to make you need to pee. So
surprisingly, some people think alcohol before bed is going to help them sleep better, but that's not the case when it's examined. It wrecks the quality of sleep to a degree, especially for some of us. Red wine. I can drink red wine after supper and be fine. White wine after supper, but red wine does tend to disturb sleep.
Okay, so everyone's got to do their own experimentation, but if sleep is a problem for you, you can easily consider what liquids are having an effect on you, whether they are alcoholic beverages or not. Maybe it's a good idea to experiment with, is what I meant to say, less liquid within, say, 2 hours before you go to bed.
Yeah, 2 hours would be good. Even the supplements. I use a melatonin spray. Melatonin is the chemical that tells your body, it's a hormone, tells your body that it's time to go to sleep. I have a spray, I spray it under my tongue. It's absorbed there, 5 shots, exactly what it says. And then you sleep through the night better. It will tend to improve the quality of your sleep as well.
Yeah.
You said magnesium.
Some people find that taking a magnesium supplement, depending on the kind of magnesium, but a magnesium supplement before bed can also help a lot of people with sleep.
Yeah, it was Earl Mandel, who's a pharmacist and a nutritionist, who said calcium and magnesium are nature's tranquilizers.
There you go.
So it's interesting. Yeah. I said don't drink anything before bed, but a few hours in advance, it's okay. There's herbal teas that work really well for people. Skullcap works well. Hops. You've got to be careful with valerian, though. Valerian, for many people, it works really well and makes them relaxed and comfortable. For about 10% of us, myself included, it has the opposite effect. It wakes me up.
There you go.
So check with personal experimentation.
Right? This is the thing. It's all about just
chamomile.
You don't have to listen to everything we're telling you and go, okay, I'm going to do every single one of those things.
No.
Just keep in mind Pareto's principle. Maybe 20% of the changes are going to give you 80% of the benefits. So let's find out what those are for you.
Now, another thing is avoiding light before bed. Now, I'm talking about screen light, whether it's your television. Computers can now filter out some of the blue if you have it on a nighttime setting, because the blue light tells your brain it's daytime, and it will not release the natural melatonin you need to feel sleepy.
It's basically what we were adapted to live with is sunlight, right? Sunlight equals we're awake. Darkness equals time to go to bed.
Farmers would go to bed when the sun went down. Yeah,
right.
because
so when we're looking at these screens and stuff, all we see is light that replicates the frequencies that we would get from the sun.
Which is why we're awake right now. Yeah.
All right, which is better than being asleep, because then we wouldn't be able to teach you anything useful. All right, so we're going to look at avoiding the use of screens. And if you have to be on a screen, there are settings that you can use on most devices that will change the color temperature.
Color temperature.
So play around with your devices. There's usually a night mode or something like that.
And you can have it come on automatically.
Yeah.
Avoid stimulation. And this is stuff like anything that is a stimulant. We already said don't drink it.
Physical or mental.
It could be caffeine in coffee or tea. The fact of you don't want to watch, we say never watch the news before bed. That was a huge change in my life. Don't read the news before bed, because that will stimulate your left brain. And the news is so full of disaster now and horror. It's not the best thing to put into your brain when you're attempting to fall asleep.
And I think the same thing is true for any level of exercise. For example, right now in my life, Tuesday nights is volleyball night. When I get home at around 10:15, there's no way I can go right to bed.
Oh, totally.
I need to just chill out for a bit.
Yeah, totally. I've started watching hockey again on Monday nights. But I found it revs my brain up, and I need like half an hour to calm my brain before I sleep.
What I'll find is like if I just read or listen to a podcast or something like that, that'll just help me to get ready for bed.
You got to slow down.
So think about the timing of when you're getting your exciting news or physical activities, things like that, and maybe don't do those right before bed.
Do them in the morning.
What about getting rid of disturbances? Anything that might disturb you, like your phone, put it on silent or turn it off, or put it in another room. Anything that will be noisy.
We had a friend who wakes up with texts at night at 3 a.m.
Yeah, that's just silly. Like
insane.
My phone is in the kitchen when I go upstairs to go to bed.
Mine's down in the sunroom.
I won't hear it. If you call me, I will not answer. And then once you get rid of the disturbances, we actually do like the idea of adding in certain kinds of noise, don't we?
Yes. Yeah. There's noise that is conducive to sleep. Sound like white noise and green noise and pink noise and brown noise. These are noises that are sounds that are a frequency that are really, really useful. If you have tinnitus at all, they'll mask it. And there's sounds like the sound of rain is naturally white sound. And it also has a calming effect on the human brain, as does the sound of surf or a stream.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these things here. Find what works for you. My wife and I fall asleep every night to the sound of the Arctic blizzard in the winter. And it's the wind howling outside, and you feel cozier in bed.
And the thing is, like nowadays with things like Amazon Echo Dots or Sonos speakers,
have
or
it
whatever,
right in your room.
You can just say to whatever the assistant is, play rain sounds, and it will do it. But you don't have to do that. I often just sleep with a fan on, especially in the summertime. We just put a fan on low speed, and you get white noise from the fan. You also get this nice feeling of the air, and it's very, very soothing. So fan for us makes a ridiculous improvement in our sleep quality.
It does. And I just want to point out quickly, we have no connection with this company, but it's a company called Calm Radio. Not called Calm. Yeah, not called Calm, called Calm Radio. It's a different company. It's out of Toronto. I have a lifetime subscription to their channels. They have like 1,000 channels. They have 2 or 3 different fan sounds.
It costs you a fortune.
Almost nothing.
Yeah.
2 or 3 different fan sounds.
Yeah.
They have the sound of a dishwasher. They have the sound of an air conditioner. Plus, rain and storms and wind, plus great music as well. Experiment with this. Calm Radio. Check it out.
Okay, so that was kind of everything we wanted to talk about before going to sleep.
Except the Jin Shin.
And then the Jin. Yeah, that was the other thing is the Jin. Go ahead and explain that one.
All right, this is part of my sleeping ritual too. Jin Shin Jitsu comes out of Japan, Jiro Murai. It's about 100 years old. It works from Japanese medicine. You don't have to believe in it. Just do this every night before you go to bed and thank me, just as I am thanking me. So you're going to clasp your thumb. We say grasp it, not squeeze as hard as you can, and you'll feel a pulsation starting after a while in both hands. You can feel it, the gripping hand and in the thumb.
I feel it right now.
When you feel it right away, that's a good sign. It means the meridian's open. You let it pulsate for a few seconds, go to the next finger. Do this right through all 5 fingers, then put your thumb in the center of your palm. And that's the hardest one to feel. When it starts to pulsate, give it a few seconds, change hands. Go through go through the ritual again.
So thumb through pinky, then center
of the palm, then the other hand the same. If you got extra time, you can do this while you're watching TV before you go to bed. That's when I do it.
That way it's no extra time.
No extra time wasted.
We love this theme of no net time. So you're not spending more time. You're just, the thing you're already doing, you're adding this to it.
It's the best kind of sort of multitasking. You don't have to think about it. it. You don't have to believe in it. If you can't feel a pulse readily, it means you really need to do this according to their system. This will calm you. If I don't do it, I don't sleep as well. It's as simple as that.
Okay, let's rapid fire through some. We have a few more things here we still want to cover.
Turn off the lights.
So yeah, make sure you're sleeping in darkness. Light, thicker blinds, whatever. See what you can do to your environment. If there is a lot of light in your environment, it will affect your sleep. So get the light out of your environment. Make it as dark as possible. Some people are so sensitive they even have to, little LEDs on a smoke detector
even that will
or something.
throw them off.
Put a piece of tape over it. Those things don't bother me. But if they bother you, it may help. So,
and again, this will help you produce natural melatonin. I can't sleep in total darkness. I feel almost claustrophobic from it.
Yeah.
So I need like a tiny light somewhere. So if I wake up, I'm here. Another thing is your room temperature is crucial because in order to sleep, your body temperature drops. So if you can keep your room cooler, it is much more effective. You can still be under a lot of blankets if you want, but the cooler room will help you fall asleep and stay asleep.
It could be what you're wearing. If you're wearing pajamas, lighter or nothing at all. It could be the number of blankets that you have on. Too hot or cold. It could be air temperature in the room, crack a window even in the wintertime. Sometimes we'll do that. Fresh air, putting on a fan. So just set your thermostat to the right temperature. Experiment with it, right?
Excellent. Yes. Let's just look at two other aspects of this. Ways of falling back asleep if you wake up.
Right.
So I'll give you two here. One comes from Dr. Richard Mandel. It's brilliant. He checked 100 people who fell asleep readily like me and 100 people who lie awake for an hour and then fall asleep. And he found the difference. The difference is those with insomnia, they flash bright colored pictures in their head of everything they have to do the next day. And they comment on them in a rapid, agitated voice like this.
Yeah, big internal dialogue about what's going on in your life.
Switching on the visual cortex.
Yeah, it could be something that you wish you'd handled differently during the day or something that you have to face tomorrow.
Yes.
But this rapid fire images and auditory digital internal voices, that tends to wreck things. Whereas that's why, like, if I wake up often, I'll pop in an AirPod, put on a podcast that requires kind of intellectual thinking. It could be about the economy or it could be about health and fitness or biology or whatever. And if I'm focusing on that, it's like an external thing. It's not in my head. And I cannot focus on it very long before I'm out again.
There's actually a YouTube video of the most boring video ever created, and it's a guy teaching something about a computer.
Yeah.
He said it's guaranteed to put you to sleep.
Yeah.
But I find that's too stimulating for me. Any
Some
kind of
people
voice.
don't need that at all. In fact, if you just go and what do you focus on?
I do Richard Bandler's solution. People who fall asleep readily, they don't flash colored pictures switching on the visual cortex. They don't comment in a rapid internal voice. Instead, they focus on their physical body, how comfortable and cozy they are. And they talk to themselves in a slow, sleepy voice. Next thing you know, it's morning.
Man, I'm going to fall asleep. I'm operating on 5.5 hours, which is not
You know what I'm going to say? Choice you made.
Well, yeah. And no, there was some extraneous circumstances. I'll tell you about another.
Okay. What about waking with an alarm?
Okay. So let's talk about alarm clocks. Here's the thing. We do not wake up to alarm clocks most of the time.
Well, my Egyptian cat is an alarm clock.
I got to go to the airport. I'm going to set an alarm just to be sure, even though I'm generally waking up because my brain goes, get up, right? But if you can, just don't wake up to an alarm because waking up to an alarm by definition means
you're sleep deprived. If an alarm's waking you up, you're still in the middle of a 90-minute approximately sleep cycle. Otherwise, you would have woken up naturally.
So the ideal is set your life up such that there is no alarm. Now, I understand that is not necessarily something you could all do right now. So if you must use an alarm.
There's a sun alarm, which is really cool. And this is an alarm that comes on purely with light and gradually gets brighter and brighter until you wake up. It mirrors or mimics the sun coming up in the morning, and that's the gentlest one. It starts to switch on cortisol and switch off melatonin.
Right. So bottom line is consider just different options of alarms if you absolutely must wake up to an alarm. Even if you must be awake, I would still say it's probably a good idea to use self-hypnosis, train yourself to naturally wake up at the time you want, and set your alarm for like 10 minutes later just in case.
That's very good. Very smart.
That might be useful. Okay, let's talk. Scott Adams had a quote that you really liked from one of his books, and then we'll talk about afternoon naps, and then this video's over. All right.
He said, basically, if you can't sleep, it's because you haven't worked hard enough during the day to burn the day's energy. Like if you're working, if you did a sufficient workout, that would take enough energy that your brain is going to put you to sleep to be able to recuperate. So you need to do more, get more exercise happening, then you'll be sleepy at bedtime.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And we'll do another video on exercise.
Yes, we will.
Coming up. So that's all we want to say about it. Making sure you're burning off that energy so you'll naturally want to fall asleep, right? Kids, at the end of the day, they just gone, right? You know, you put your kid in the back seat of a car or something, you're driving home after a long family event. They've been playing while you've been sitting around talking with the adults, and you're wide awake and the kids are just out like a light. So
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about napping, because this isn't, you don't all need to do this, but if you find yourself fading around 2 o'clock, Mike?
Well, the key is from Chinese medicine. Look at the time you normally go to bed and the time you normally wake up, and take the halfway point, add 12 hours, and that's the best time for your nap. So for me, go to bed about 10, wake up at 6. The halfway point is 2 a.m. So 2 p.m. is when my energy drops, which is absolutely true. As he knows, I can't do much at around 2 o'clock. I go into a 20 to 30 minute nap, no more than that. And if you don't actually fall asleep, that's okay. Cover your eyes, lie on a couch or something. Make sure you got an alarm for half an hour in case you fall into sleep, because a deep sleep in the daytime is not a good idea. Even if you just lie there, it will refresh you more than a cup of coffee will.
I actually love that you just said even if you don't fall asleep, because now that I've been doing this so long and I'm so patterned into the idea, I close my eyes, I focus on what you said with bandwidth, focus on falling asleep. I let my mind just entertain me with ideas. And eventually, within a few minutes, I do fall asleep. And it's only 20 minutes. But here's the thing. On the rare occasion that I don't fall asleep, I'm just pretending that I am. It doesn't matter. You're totally relaxed, and you'll come back after that 20 minutes and you'll feel quite refreshed.
That's interesting, Chris, because you made a good point that makes me think of this. Sleep is the only activity humans do that the way they do it is by pretending they're doing it.
That's right.
So you pretend you're asleep, and that makes you sleep.
Yeah.
Now, some of these things here we've already touched on, so we can probably wrap this up quickly. The one thing is the afternoon nap is really, really good for your brain. It stops brain shrinkage, and it can be really, really healthy to have an afternoon nap whenever you can. It's part of my life. I inherited it from my dad, who'd come home for lunchtime from his job as an engineer for Bell Canada. He'd lie on the couch, create what he called a head sandwich, put a pillow under his head and one on top, and he'd say to my mom, if I should happen to fall asleep, call me in 10 minutes. And it was a big family joke, because in 20 seconds he'd be snoring. He'd be conked out. So it's a learned art.
So even for your naps, okay, get rid of the distractions, the phone, the noises, whatever.
Use the nature sounds.
Use noise. I like listening to music. I
like listening to a train.
I love listening to the Dire Straits album On Every Street. I love that
for every nap.
Yeah, exactly, on every nap. And here's the final point I'll give you is just with respect to getting into that nap mode, use the easy self-hypnosis course. Learn how to do basic hypnotic induction on yourself with the purpose of segueing to sleep.
Beautiful.
It won't take you very long to get very good at it.
A few days.
Yeah.
Excellent, buddy.
I think that's a great video. So that's how you can have a better life, by making sure that you have better sleep habits, so you'll have more energy when you're not asleep.
And your immune system will benefit too.
There you go. It'll give you a better life. So teach that to all your friends and loved ones, and have awesome sleeps, and report back to us how awesome you're doing. We'll see you in the next video.
Thanks again. And good night.